I see my name in shining lights, yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host, Shalom Klein, has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success. Let's get down to business.
And indeed, we're all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business here on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you'll not want to miss. So let's jump right in with my next guest, Josefine Campbell, who has literally written the book called Power Barometer, Manage Personal Energy and Not Just Time and Money. Really just coming out really this week. And I'm excited to talk about this really, really important topic. Josephine, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So, Josephine, I've been reading a study that 94% of people in the United States experience stress at work, and 73% of people have stress that impacts their mental health. Josephine, I know that's what you talk about in Power Barometer. Let's talk a little bit about what drove you to write this book and tell our listeners maybe a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I work with executives. I work with brilliant leaders in multinational corporations, in startups, tech companies, and very often I find that the main challenge is not so much what they have to do, but it's managing energy and minds, their own and those of others, because people are under such a pressure, stress, constant change, unexpected events, and it really puts people on a hot plate. Yeah, a hot plate is a good way to describe it.
Indeed. Josephine, I know you have spent years of experience working with chief executives at some very, very large companies like McDonald's and Deloitte and so on. And no question about it that in many of these large corporate workplaces, ultimately the brains, the people are the most important asset. But what you have discovered and what you've written about in Power Barometer is that we are letting some of that that asset that we have, and kind of flushing it away. What was the aha moment for you where you discovered this this need? And we're going to talk about some of the solutions that you've put together in this very, very important book.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to stress the fact that though I work with a lot of executives from very large companies such as McDonald's and Deloitte that you mentioned, I also work with entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are people who are under an extreme pressure as well, just in the moment of getting new funding, or when you have a short run rate. That kind of pressure is also relevant here. The moment, to answer your question, the moment I discovered it was kind of gradually, and it was through coaching sessions with executives and other leaders that I found that very often when helping people managing day-to-day work and challenges, some of the tools that were most helpful to them were the tools I brought with me, not from business school, not from being a lecturer, not from science, not from many years of practical experience. It was from my time as a martial art champion. I used to practice jiu-jitsu, and I was a quadruple national champion in jiu-jitsu. And in jiu-jitsu, you have different types of championships. You have the type of championships as you see in Karate Kid and other martial art movies. Have you seen Karate Kid?
I have indeed. Wow.
Yeah, it's like an old American movie, right? And you remember this scene at the end of the movie where they have green tatami mats on the floor, and he has to fight his opponent. There's a judge who will say Hashime, and then the fighting starts. So we do that type of competitions in jiu-jitsu as well. And I was also the quadruple a national champion in that type of championship, but the one that really taught me to manage my mind and energy was another type of championship, which is called reaction track. You walk through a track, which is like 1 or 2 hours. There's a day track and there's a night track. So obviously at the night track, it's really dark. You go walk through a forest and there are 10 posts or 12 posts where you will have to deal with something. Mostly it's an attack by one or more people, but sometimes you have to give people first aid. So you really have to stay cool and calm, because if you are in what I call the red zone, and which is described in my book, you will react from the autopilot. And it could be that someone who needs your help will get a punch from you instead, right? So you just act like anybody are an enemy. Like you would scream at people, you would beat people around you in an office space, right? Or you would act stressfully in a way where you're not listening to people, you don't see what's happening around you, you don't notice changes in the market because you're completely focused on what you believe is your reality, which could be a perception of now I'm going to get attacked. But it's not always like that. So that experience, learning how to manage that when I was just a teenager, I found that that practice is something that really, really makes sense in today's businesses, in modern work life, because there's so much pressure. There's so many unexpected events. There's so many opportunities where you could feel threatened, but maybe you're not. You just have to stay calm, take a deep breath, and look around you. Listen to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm chatting with Josephine Campbell, who is the author of Power Barometer: Manage Personal Energy, Not Just Time and Money. And Josephine, I even hesitate to call it a book because really it is a guide. It is a guide where you share some of these resources that you discovered, like you said, not just through lecturing. I know you've been at Copenhagen Business School, not just through business. I know you've been a serial entrepreneur, but actually as a 4-time jiu-jitsu champion, some really, really interesting lessons that have molded your leadership style. So in the book, you talk about an awareness matrix and so much more that we'll cover a little bit over the next few minutes. But what is the awareness matrix, and why does it matter to small business owners and entrepreneurs, much like those tuning into the program today?
The awareness matrix it's an image, it's a tool that will help you navigate in your mindset and in your energy level. Not just your own, but also in what happens to other people. And of course, it's highly simplified. It's in reality, we have many more mental stages than 4 stages of mind stages as we have in the awareness matrix. But somehow simplifying things and turning it into like a red zone and a green zone, it increases your ability to be aware of when you are not in a good place. And often you can use your body signals, such as your breath. Some people would get tingly fingers. They would start sweating. Maybe they can feel it in the stomach. And there's a lot of guidance in the book on like what to look for. Even on my website, josephinecampbell.com, if you look under freebies, you can see some free resources where you can start and enjoy some of these tools and guides that I have to manage mind and personal energy in modern work life.
Absolutely. Josephine, we've been chatting all about managing personal energy at work to improve your mental agility, productivity, and leadership, and so on. Josephine, we are just about out of time. We've got less than 1 minute remaining. What is the one action item that our listeners, especially entrepreneurs, can put into practice in the week ahead?
Try to be aware of your personal energy level and don't think too much about it. Just feel, what is your energy now, like now in this very moment? When you're in a meeting, or when you start your work day, or when you think about a past experience. And I'm serious about listening to the stomach more than the head, because the stomach has access to the limbic system in the brain that holds much more information than your frontal lobes. So be aware about your personal energy in different situations. If you listen through your stomach, you might be surprised.
Fantastic, Josephine. I've learned a lot in our conversation. Of course, I encourage all of our listeners to pick up a copy of your book, become a reader, that is. Josephine, one more time for your website. How can we get a hold of you?
JosephineCampbell.com, and Josephine is spelled with an F, not PH.
Okay, fantastic. JosephineCampbell.com. Thank you so much for joining us, Josephine, and sharing your expertise with our listeners. I look forward to sharing the book and the lessons with all of our listeners. We'll do that through our show notes. And of course, all of our listeners can find any of the past 10 plus years of shows all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship on my website, shalomklein.com, or of course on your favorite podcast app. But while you're online, be sure to check out our sponsor, Tom Mirabali, independent agent for all of your health insurance and affordable care needs. You can find him online, healthplanchicago.com, or 630-863-3477, 630-863-3477. A quick break. We'll be right back and get down to business.